Hey, it's Emma Romano here, founder of the Thrive and Life Foundation, self-healing coach, and the midwife to your personal alchemy.
I am Kelly Bowen, founder of the Heaven Within Foundation, CEO of Lifestyle Finance Australia, finance expert, life and business coach.
And you are listening to Inspired Conversations,
where we talk about the things that really matter. Yes, we go there.
We share together what's exciting us, inspiring us, and having the most profound impact on our lives and our clients' lives. And we do this to elevate and inspire you.
We cover it all from life, body, love, relationships, trauma healing, addictions, business, money, and all things woo-woo.
So sit back, relax,
and get ready to be inspired and laugh the fuck out loud.
Hey, gorgeous peeps. It's Em Kel.
Welcome back to episode number 2. Woo!
Okay, so we got pretty deep in episode 1, and we're sitting there going, so like, what do we talk about? We went, shall we talk about how we had to stop drinking? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I've got
a long line of alcoholics. It was always going to happen.
Shocking. Can you hear that hum in the background?
Yeah, what is it?
That's my washing machine. This is what happens. When you work from home, your washing machine's going.
It's one hell of a spin cycle.
It really is. I've got my wipes on.
Washing machine.
Let me just close the door. The beauty of running a business from home, you can still put your washing on.
Okay.
So, this bottle of wine, I used to drink 2 of these a night.
That's impressive.
Is it?
I would be done the next day. Even in my peak, if I went through 2 bottles of wine, I would be useless the next day. You would.
Extremely high functioning. So what I would do is I would kind of starve myself all day, work really hard, start whining at about 4:30, about 5. I would be drunk by 8, and then I would eat something that would soak it all up. So I'd be eating carbonara, or I would be like, cream and cheese and pasta, or I would be eating chips, like hot chips, with a carbonara sauce on top of it.
Delicious.
Anyway, I used to think it was delicious. It's fucking disgusting now.
Now, back then though.
Yeah, and then I would be kind of sober up and I'd get another bottle.
Oh, wow.
And then, you ready for it?
Yeah.
So no one else it wasn't like Anthony was drinking wine with me. He drinks maybe 3 times a year, right? He's a social drinker. And my boys don't drink. Ben's 19, he's never had a drink.
Wow.
Jack's 20, and I think he's had drinks 4 times since he was 18, right?
Yeah.
And then I would go in the shower and I taught myself how to throw up silently.
Wow.
And no one knew. I was extremely high functioning.
Wow.
So during the day, I was kind of like Batman. You never saw Drinking Emma and Save the World Emma in the same place at the one time.
Like Bruce Wayne.
So during the day, I was seeing clients and running these big events and telling people to freaking love themselves, and I was earning, some pretty good money back then. And it all came to a halt. Like you can't go any further because universe won't give you any more if you're not in the frequency of the universe, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't sit there going, hey, love yourself, while you're necking some freaking poison every night. Mm-hmm. So for 2 years, I'd actually spent $20,000 on trying to stop drinking.
Wow.
So I was doing hypnotherapy, I was doing NLP, I was seeing specialists, I was going here, I was going there. I spent a fortune. I even went and saw Tony freaking Robbins. And there's a secret to if you want to stop something. And to be honest, I hadn't actually made the decision to stop. Because I had such connections with it. Like, what does my mum and I do when we go for our boozy lunch, pub lunches now? We would share a bottle of wine. Mind you, she'd have half a glass and I'd have the bottle. You know, how am I going to hang out with Shayla now? Like, that's what we did. We drank wine, and then I would go and get, I'm not a smoker, but I would go and get a packet of cigarettes and binge smoke a packet of cigarettes.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
You know, I would go out with my I call them my boyfriends, you know, my gay boyfriends, and then I would be so shit-faced. I'd be like in the freaking toilets having a line of Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm telling people, oh no, love yourself, you're amazing. I put on 20 kilos in 18 months. And then I kept trying. Guys, let me just give you a word of advice. Anything that you say after the word try, your unconscious mind actually cancels it out. So when you say I'm going to try and stop drinking, you're not. You'll just keep drinking.
No.
And I was so focused on giving up wine that I just could not stop thinking of wine. And then I had this weekend, it was going to be my last hoo-ha. It was 2019. I think it was like, it was a weekend just before the 16th or the 18th of November. And I went out with Suzanne. I got shit-faced. We started drinking 12 o'clock during the day. I finished about 10 p.m. And I went, right, that's it. Woke up the next morning in the most horrific hangover. And I went, good, I'm glad. I'm not drinking now. Anyway, 8:30 comes around and we're all going to get fish and chips, or about 7 o'clock got to get fish and chips as a family. And Anthony's going to get fish and chips, and I've texted him, babe, can you grab me a bottle of red wine? So he brings back the red wine, and sitting there with my family, I drank a full bottle of red wine in 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yep. I would scull the first glass because it gave me that hit, it gave me that euphoria, and then I would chase that euphoria. But you don't ever get it again because you only get it from the first hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up the next morning, and I'm kind of known as, like, especially back then, not so much now, as a really tough, no fucking bullshit kind of coach. And I woke up, I had the house to myself. I've got up, and I would bookend my day with shame. So I was addicted to shame because shame was like home for me. I was taught shame at a very, very young age. Like my father left when I was 10 months old, and you know the family would sort of sit there and go, "Oh, your father's an arsehole," and then the next breath, "Oh, look, you look so much like him. You walk like him."
Gosh, the anchoring on that is terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I had a lot of shame around having red hair. I had a lot of shame around having a very athletic body. And they didn't understand what they were doing to me. They didn't understand, right? So I had a lot of shame. So shame to me actually felt at home. Euphoria and happiness and being aligned felt very out of whack for me. And if I went into that, I would self-sabotage it because I'm like, what the fuck is that? The only time I was in euphoria, if I was on Coke or I was drinking, it was never naturally. So if it was natural, I'd be like, oh, it's going to stop soon, so I'll be in charge of the stop. You know, it's kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Anyway, I've woken up this one morning. It's 2019, November. It's on a Monday morning. And I'm like, that's it. Emma, get your fucking shit together. And I was getting so bad that I wouldn't talk of an evening because I would say things and have conversations with the family and I would forget about the conversation. And the next day I would say, hey guys, I've got this thing to tell you. They're like, you're talking about it for about an hour last night. So not to be caught out that mummy was drunk, I wouldn't talk. So I would be in bed. I could be in bed by 9. Passed out drunk, or I'm just really tired. It was any excuse not to communicate, not to be, so I could be even sitting on the couch, but completely disconnected emotionally. I was abandoning my husband, I was abandoning the children, not physically, emotionally, which I feel is more harmful.
And yourself.
Completely. So I remember waking up in this morning and I went, that's it. You're done. I'd never been that big. I'd never been here. I'm usually a size 10. I went from a size 10 to a size 18 in 18 months. And I was in Bali running this retreat with my business partner, Shani, and she had taken photos of me presenting. And that night, because we were sharing a room, she would show me the photos and I went, oh, is something wrong with your camera? Have you got that on wide angle? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, I don't know, I just look so different. And I'm flicking through the photos and I've gone, I'm huge. And she just looked at me, she goes, oh, babe. And I went, oh my God, because she'd seen me go from a size 10 to an 18. And it was the first time I'd really noticed it.
Wow.
There was no hiding from it. I was enormous. For me, I'm 5'2". I'm tiny, right? So right now, I'm
pocket rocket.
Yeah, I'm pocket rocker. I'm between about a size sort of 10, 12 now, and I'm really comfortable at that. I really love it. And I couldn't believe it. So, but it still took me 2 months after that to go, you got to stop. And the problem was, there was a couple of things I was doing wrong and why I hadn't stopped. One, I hadn't really made the decision because I was still in missing out mode. What am I going to miss out on? And then the other one was I kept trying to find something outside of me to fix me. Oh, the hypnotherapist, Tony Robbins will do it. Even though I'm only half-assed about drinking. So you know what I think I'll do? I'll just drink socially, or maybe I'll just have one glass. This shit I was telling myself, and here's the best one. Do you know how I used to justify it? Do you know how I used to justify it? If it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. I don't think Jesus was necking 2 bottles of wine a night, Charles.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So anyway, this morning I wake up. Just shame, just total, I felt like crap. And then I used to jack myself up on coffee.
Because you wake up, like you do wake up in a pit of shame. You're toxic, your mind would be like, what the fuck did I do last night?
Yeah. Why did I drink? And I'd wake up all bloated. I would very red in the face, very lined, like my skin was really suffering. You know, I was very lined in my face and I was looking very dehydrated, shall we say. All right, I was looking old as shit. I looked like an old witch, okay? And then I woke up and I went outside and I just went, decision made. And now looking back, because for me it's been just over 2 years, right? And it's amazing how much time I wasted thinking about what I'm going to miss out on. And now being sober and fucking loving it, like no smokes, no drugs, no alcohol, and now being coffee free for what, maybe 6 months? Yeah. I think I've had about 3 in between then. And going, I'm not missing out on anything. By drinking, I was missing out on so much. Because you're present, you remember everything. You can actually, when you wake up in the morning and you feel good about yourself, and when you can go to bed not feeling anxious, it is such elation and so much excitement and pure fucking happiness in your life. And then you go in this different frequency. It's like this different energy. But what got me was, and I've spoken to other people, you know, who go, I really want to give up something, but I'm scared I'm going to miss out. I'm like, I spent years freaking out about that. But what I've gained, because literally no one can tell me if they have self-worth and they go, oh yeah, I'm drinking, but I love myself. I'm going to call bullshit on it because it's poison. There's no nourishment in it. Anything that's not of nourishment is poison. It's either giving you life or it's taking life away. And if you're putting shit in your body that's taking life away, including thoughts and relationships, you got to start looking at your self-love.
It's huge.
Huge.
I relate to it so much, and even with my own journey, I think it's been for me coming up on the 9th of Feb. It will be 9 months for me, alcohol.
Yeah.
I did have, I think, 3/4 a bottle of champagne on New Year's, and I woke up feeling like shit. And all I did was starting to feel like more and more dumb as I could feel the alcohol coming into my system. And I'm like, this isn't fun. And anyway, I was passed out by like 11:30. I didn't even make it. Like, I'm one of those people, as soon as alcohol hits my body, I get really, like, I get drunk quick. I'm not one of those long burns. I'm like, so about drunk. There's no in between. Essentially, for me now, it'll be 9 months, bar that one time alcohol free on the 9th of Feb. I have been sugar free for, I think, 7 months, gluten and dairy free for about the same, and I think coffee for about 7 months now. And for me, like you, there was a couple of like underlying things behind it. Like I'd ended a really toxic relationship and my nervous system was so fucking blown. Yeah. And I was living on alcohol, coffee, probably cigarettes, and definitely cocaine in there. And it was my go-to to have, like, my nervous system was so jacked out that I was feeling numb all the time. And that for me to feel something, I would have to take my nervous system from here to here to be able to feel something. And I was constantly living in this red zone of either like maxed out to super maxed out and then burnout. And I was constantly running in this cycle. And this cycle is really common for people that have experienced trauma. And it's because when you're trying to create stability in your life and you're creating good things in your life and you're cultivating like love and joy and happiness, your nervous system goes, this feels fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
So consciously, you go off and find all sorts of ways to create drama and inconsistency and to spike your nervous system to that next level, because that is what your nervous system has been conditioned to feel safe, even though it's not healthy, it's dysregulated. But because you've been living in that state for so many years, like all the business owners that think that they're working 12 hours a day and conquering mountains, your nervous systems don't know how to function if you're not on your edges, and you're leading yourself to burnout. So for me, I had that playing out, and I was like, I need to get off this cycle. I need to get off this fucking insane merry-go-round. And then the second one, it was something that my best friend had shared, why she had recently released alcohol, and the underlying belief behind why she did it. And this hit me so hard. Like when this hit me, I was just like, fuck, I can't ignore this anymore, because I'd been getting that nudge, stop drinking, because drinking was the ticket to cocaine. It was the ticket to it was the ticket to self. If I just didn't do the drinking, I didn't do any of the other things. But if I wasn't doing the drinking, how was I going to maintain the dysregulation in my nervous system? Because the regulation felt like absolute extreme boredom and really unsafe. So fuck, if I take that, like it was this double-edged sword, like I was fucked if I did or fucked if I didn't. So when she shared this with me, this was the part that kicked me over the edge. And I was like, right, I can do this. And it was the whole reason behind drinking was because I didn't want to be here. And it was socially acceptable to slowly be poisoning myself. And it was cool to be the life of the party. Nobody saw it, the covert. I'm doing this because, like, underlying all of it, when I'm really honest with myself, I don't want to be here.
Can I tell you my 2 reasons of drinking?
Mm.
My emotional state was I was addicted to shame, because shame was like home to me.
Mm.
So I would do shameful things.
Mm-hmm.
And drinking was socially acceptable, especially like, you know, I'm a mum, and when your kids are at primary school, us mums would meet up and we'd have Friday night drinks. We'd meet in the park and have a Friday night. If the kids were annoying us, oh, is it wine time, dolls? It was our absolute languaging. And when that morning that I went, right, Emma, you're going to be your toughest coach. I went outside with a piece of paper, and I never really knew why I drank. And I kind of kept asking myself a question, what's the problem? And mine was drinking, fat, cigarettes. And I was the same as you. I knew I wouldn't be fat, and I knew I wasn't going to drink. I mean, I knew I was going to smoke or take cocaine if I wasn't drinking.
Drinking. Yeah.
It was the drinking, right?
Yeah.
So like, what am I hiding from? And I had fear. What else are you hiding from? What are you too scared to do? I'm too scared to I was actually terrified of being bored. Because boredom meant thinking, thinking meant feeling, and feeling meant fucking death.
Yeah.
And then I went, well, what's under that? What's worse than that? What are you really hiding from? And it came up my father, hurt, abandonment, and then I'm not enough. And I went, yeah, okay, that's what it is. I'm not enough. And I stopped drinking that day. It was literally something switched over in my amygdala, and it went, you're done. And I felt amazing. 3 weeks later, because don't forget, when you're shit-faced on wine every night, you can't think. You're Netflixing it, and you're
Dumb.
You're dumb. You're dumb and numb, right?
Blocking everything out.
Exactly. Or you're on your phone with your best mate, gossiping and bitching about people, yeah? And then I remember I had all this space and this time in my head, and we were going off camping, was 3 weeks of the day, and it was like, boom, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was further than I'm not enough. I actually didn't even feel I deserved to be enough. And I was like, far out, because whatever we believe, our behaviors will prove it right. In a very unconscious way. We're not aware of it.
No, and every behavior stems from a positive intention.
Yeah. Yep. That really blew my mind. And I was like, God, when did I decide that I didn't deserve to be enough, deserve to be in this world? It's like you, Kel, when did you start believing that you didn't want to be here?
Mm-hmm.
What belief systems are we running on that we need to bring out to our awareness so we can go, holy shit, let's make a decision on that little fucker.
Yep.
Let's get rid of that one.
Yep. And it was the moment I realized that I was like, fuck, I choose life. I choose to be here. I want to be here. I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. And I literally stopped. And then I later learned about, because I'd also been starting to work on my defense mechanisms. So the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, innate defense mechanisms that we all have, and it had been coming to my attention. I've been learning about nervous system regulation, but I didn't really quite understand it. And I was starting to kind of get it. And one of the really common symptoms of a dysregulated flight nervous system, so somebody who's experienced a lot of trauma when they were younger and they're constantly running, like flight means to run, running away from the thing, the addiction, the activity is constantly blocking you from feeling. So your nervous system is running at such a high level so that you never be still enough to feel, because when you're still, you feel. And just like you said, Em, if I'm bored, then I have to feel, and if I feel, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And stopping the drinking and learning to bring regulation to my nervous system, and learning to sit in that discomfort, to sit with the shame, to sit with the not enoughness, to sit with the fucking social anxiety, to then have to...
Let's talk about social anxiety.
Yeah, wow. And the social anxiety, like this is when we look at the next level of the defense mechanism. The fawn response being that I'm going to forego my emotional needs to make your emotional needs more important, because as long as everybody else is okay around me, then I can be okay. And I can't be okay unless I know everybody else is okay. So when you're running and drinking and doing all of the addiction stuff, and then you stop and you're like, fuck, well then what's underneath that? Well, now I've got to deal with my discomfort of having uncomfortable conversations. And I have to deal with the discomfort of asking for what I want. And I have to deal with the discomfort of speaking truly without any of the things that would make it so easy for me drinking, Dutch courage, say exactly what I feel. Sometimes it's not even true, but do you know what I mean? Like that false courage, and then having to be able to sit with that and hold yourself in it, and learn to be able to hold regulation and go slowly, like honestly, lockdown in Victoria, not being able to, like literally being at home for, I think it was 3 or 4 months, however long it was, we were locked up for last year, was the best thing for me because I didn't have to deal with any of those weird social things. And I know you and I talk about this and joke about it a lot about the, I have a theory that with social anxiety, if it's just one-on-one or any group up to 6, it's not so bad because at any point you can actually control a group of 6. They don't subgroup, they don't split off. It's still in a group of 6 unknown people. You can still be okay and stay regulated because I personally think that if at any point I wanted to, I could control that. I've got more than enough communication skills that if I didn't feel safe and I wanted to control that, I could. And I know you're the same too, Em. Like we
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
know how to work a room, we know how to work a group.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't mean that we're not dying on the inside when it's happening. Yet over 6 people unknown, where we're not like facilitating or responsible for the room, in control, where we're completely not in control and have no control over the variables, is fucking terrifying. Whether you know the people or not, don't know the people, because of that dysregulated trauma response of, I can't account for everybody in the room to know whether I'm safe or not. And I can't account whether they're all okay so that I can be okay. And then it's learning to regulate that. And when you take out all the stimulants, the alcohol, the cocaine, the cigarettes, the coffee, like smoking's just hiding behind a smoke screen. More like, why do you think everybody likes to smoke together? They all hide behind their smoke screen and think they're connecting.
Well, I used to love smoking because it got me to go outside and usually have one-to-one conversations.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know, to be honest, if anybody's listening to this and going, well, you know, is it hard to give up the alcohol? It's not.
It's not. Once you make the
decision, it's so easy, and you don't, your body kind of detoxes from it, but it's cool, like it's easy. You get a little bit tired and like you can feel shit coming out, but it's all good. It's actually not difficult at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is learning. Probably there's 2 things that were hard for me, or that not hard, but I had to learn to do. One was definitely socially how to do. I was at my sister-in-law's 50th birthday last Saturday. An amazing night. When I'm done, I'm done. And now I was so proud of myself because I actually lasted till 11 o'clock.
Well done.
And my brother-in-law, Vinny's gone, you used to be a party animal. I went, when I was a drinker.
Yeah.
I'm not, I've never been a party animal, but you give Emma some wine, woo, she can dance your freaking little socks off, you know, because I've become this different person.
Me too.
You know, and I think the other second part that I had to learn to do the most was to be okay with feeling, because I hadn't for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like being, oh, I'm anxious. Why? Well, I've got about, 48 years of anxiety and feelings that have to be felt now because I'm holding the space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, what I do say is I never went, I'll get over it. I went, Emma, let's get through this.
Yeah.
So instead of like, if there's the problem and you're jumping over it, you're still avoiding it. Let's go through it, because feelings flow. There's a flow, there's an ebb and flow to everything. Everything in this world moves.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got this belief system, oh, if I'm sad, I'm just sad for life. It's not true. It's a belief system, and therefore you'll prove it right. But to be able to go, actually, it's safe to feel. It's okay. And when you're living on your nerves and you have this belief system that, hey, if I fall down, who the fuck's got me?
Yep.
It's actually quite egotistical to think that.
Yeah.
Extremely egotistical. Like, oh, no one in the freaking world can support me. Everyone, so many people can support.
I would actually love to be there.
Exactly. And it was such a great lesson to be able to fall into my feminine energy instead of being on constantly. Fall in my feminine energy and go, hey, fam, this is what's going on, family and friends. Can you hold me through it? And they're like, oh my God, we've been waiting for this opportunity because you've always got us.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to step up and look after you. Yeah.
And it's huge. And
much easier.
That's the hardest part. The thing that's been the most challenging for me is really giving myself space to be authentic with myself and
Yeah.
honoring what I feel. So if I'm exhausted and it's not in my best interest to go to that social engagement, old me would have a wine and get on with it. Now it's like, look, I'm really sorry. I just can't make it. Can we do something else instead? And having those conversations, and also when I feel things now, it's just, I just bring extreme compassion and love to the table. It's like, okay, we're here and that's okay. There's no need for you to be somewhere else. There's no need for you to go faster. Great, we're here. And learning to, and I kept it really simple. So I didn't, well, I couldn't do big groups, but even if I was able to, I wouldn't have. I kept it really simple with real one-on-one connection. And the greatest gift of all of it in the last months, I have more real, authentic, loving, genuine friendships in my life that I like trust these people with my life wholeheartedly. And the relationships have all been built on sobriety. There's been no alcohol or false connection in it, where we've shown parts of ourselves that like that bravado that's not even the true authentic part of ourselves, is built on real vulnerability and real connection. And I've never had and I always listen now with my nervous system. If I'm with someone, and because I've got so astute to how it's communicating with me, if I'm with someone and I'm feeling like something's not quite right, I speak it and I listen to it. Whereas before, I just wouldn't even feel it. Or if I did, oh, let's have some wine and numb that out. I feel awkward in the connection. Oh, how about we get a bottle of wine? Why not, right?
Exactly. It is. You know what I used to say? Oh, let's get a wine. It'd be rude not to, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Someone's got to squash those grapes. Let's give them a job. Like,
But this, and at times it literally felt like I was learning to kind of like tap my head and rub my tummy at the same time.
that's what I was doing.
Yeah, being able to.
And I burnt out. Massively burnt out. I've burnt out so many times in my business because of my misalignment with who I want to be and what I'm doing compared to what I'm really freaking doing.
Yeah.
You know, because we can say something, but you know, universe is going to listen to our habits, not what we say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I was saying was great between 9 and 5. Between 5 and 10, I was a bullshit artist.
Yeah.
A complete bullshit artist. So anyone who's listening or watching this, please know, to make a decision around anything, the anxiety is actually in the decision.
Yeah.
It's not in the doing. Because once you make the decision, the actions just happen. It's literally given to you on a plate. Universe will deliver and go, oh good, here we go. Now she's good now. Let's deliver this to her.
Yeah. Ironically, when I made that decision, pretty much all of my friends in my close social circle also decided to stop drinking.
Yes.
It was all this one big aligned.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's so beautiful.
It is. And it makes such a difference. Like, it's definitely worth it. And what you, like most people, the thing that stopped me the most was what I feared on missing out. Like you talk about, I was like, well, how am I going to connect?
Yeah.
And how am I going to have fun? And because for me, fun is like one of my number one go-tos. If I am not having fun, you will lose me like so quick.
Yep.
Like it has to be fun. It has to be like, I love high sensory experiences. That learning to down regulate my nervous system, like that in itself. Even when I stopped drinking, great. So now I've got no excuse for self-sabotage. What am I going to do with that energy? And at first I worked myself into burnout, which was the same pattern. I just chose something new to focus on, like, okay, well, we're doing better. And just because you can work on the weekend because you're not hungover doesn't mean you should be working on the weekend. And I had to learn how to human. I had to learn how to function in the real world. But what I gained was 1,000 times more real, more authentic, more juicy than any of the things I thought I was going to miss out on, or the false things I thought I was getting by having the alcohol, the cocaine, the cigarettes.
And you know, thinking about my own journey with it, I think I was terrified probably to really find out who I was, because I reckon I probably lost me at around 2 or 3 years old. And I was terrified of going, well, what if I don't like me? And 2 years down the track, I'm sitting there in my bikini at the age of 50, on a paddleboard with my husband, loving life. I've discovered that me without the toxicity and being okay and loving myself with all the emotions that I've got coming up, I'm really love myself. And I've got 2 children and they're half of me. So when you think logically and mathematically, if I don't love myself, it means I actually don't love 50% of my children. And it's not true. So you've got to look mathematically, scientifically, you've got to look at the ratios of that. What are you saying to yourself, but what's really going on? And it's just, Kelly and I aren't sitting here telling you to stop eating meat and don't eat, drink.
That's another one we don't do. We don't eat meat.
Yeah, we don't eat meat. I tell you why I don't eat meat, because I was going to bed with nervousness, and I found, a lot of the meat that we have here, unless it's organic and farmed, like you can get that actually piece of meat off the farm, our animals are dying with great fear, and we're eating that energy. So I would end up with like this nervousness, and ever since I stopped eating meat, I've never had it since, which is great. But what we're saying is this, Kel and I are saying this: what actions do you need to take to honor the amazing, spectacular person you are? Are you poisoning yourself or are you loving yourself? Because there's only 2 different things. There's no in between.
And how, even think about the programming, right? The programming is, you do something great. You do something so phenomenal that you've never done before. How do you reward yourself?
Yep. Pop open a bottle of champagne.
And you poison yourself till you can't.
Poison yourself.
It's just idiotic. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it and be like, I'm worth so much more than that.
Yeah. And I used to say it, I'd be like, I've helped 5 clients. There was a suicidal guy. He's not suicidal anymore. I deserve this. And you could just imagine, whether you call it God or universe or whatever, just sitting there going, babe, you've got it all wrong.
Right?
Hun, you've got it all fucking wrong. You don't deserve poison.
No, you deserve foot rubs and facials.
Yes, exactly.
Holidays and connection with loved ones and great food that gives life force energy to you.
Yes. Something that feeds your cells, not something that kills your cells.
It's the matrix programming.
Yeah. Let's change the matrix. That's what Kel and I are here to do. We're here to raise the frequency of the universe.
Yeah.
And we love that you guys are taking the time to listen to these podcasts. We want to thank you, and please share them with your friends. If they're getting you all excited and you're like, oh yeah, some good shit there, please share away. That's what we're all here for. We're here for that.
And we want to plant, if we've done anything with this episode and sharing this in our journey, we just want to plant some seeds of what self-love really is.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and be patient with yourself and be loving with yourself, because it is a journey, and it's literally taking off and stripping back everything that's not you to find out who you are. And it takes extreme courage to stop doing the thing that's been allowing you to avoid that scary Pandora's box that you haven't been wanting to open. And your unconscious mind, let me give you a little bit of safety in this, is your unconscious mind won't give you anything at a pace that you're not willing to process. So even if you were to decide that you wanted to let go of something, no longer do something, your unconscious mind isn't going to go, oh, here's all those feelings. It's going to give it to you at a level that you can process. Because I remember with me, I wanted to go right in there. Once I made a decision, I was like, right, let's go feel those feelings. Let's get this done. Come on, chop, chop. Let's healing in speed. But that's not how this works, and it's not how your nervous system works. And I could only feel a certain amount of time before my nervous system would go, numb again. Except instead of using drugs, alcohol, cocaine, Netflix, whatever, to go numb, it would just cut it out until I had processed and I was ready for the next bit. Now, I know, Em, you help people a lot with making these sorts of decisions and being able to release these lifelong patterns that have been holding people back, and particularly with addiction, sexual abuse, traumatic childhood stuff. So if any of the listeners were listening and they did want to take some serious action towards this and like support, how could they get in contact with you?
Email me, guys. Email me. Find me on Facebook. Private message me. I love contacting people. I love chatting. I love, as you can probably tell.
Yeah.
You can probably tell. So go on Emma Romano at y7mail.com.
Yeah.
Right? Just go there. Or Emma at emmaromano.com.au. There's 2 different emails, either one. Go on my website, Google Emma Romano, you'll see me there. emmaromano.com.au. It's so easy. I make everything easy.
Yeah, and we'll have some links too that if you wanted to get some next level support with this, because I know that you're amazing with it.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Yeah,
Kel, it's the 2nd episode. I love you.
I love you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next episode.
Yeah, and let us know like what did you think about this episode? You know, have you recently had any experiences in letting go of things? Like, share your story, because this is where we build community and we support each other when we realize we're not alone.
I love this. All right, guys, we love you. Have an amazing, spectacular day. This is Em Kel. Bye.